Okay, cool. Yeah. So they go on, and Cassius and Brutus, they are separate. They there's a Senate and exeunt. Okay, exeunt is my favorite word in Shakespeare. Flourish of trumpets, exeunt. You see this in all Shakespeare plays at the end of any scene that happens in public spaces. Exeunt is the plural of exit. It's no longer used in English. Exit has remained in the language. It is still used these days, but exeunt went out of fashion. I think early 19th century or something is my guess. So exeunt, they have all gone out, and Cassius and Brutus are getting together. Okay, and they are having a heart-to-heart talk, and this part of Act One, Scene Two is very important because this is the scene where Cassius inducts Brutus into the conspiracy, and first he tests the waters. That is, tries to see how far Brutus can be persuaded to join in something like this, and approaches, beats around the bush first, goes around the topic, and then finally hits it and, calls him. And he's trying to, tell Brutus, he's trying to convince Brutus, a person like Marcus Brutus should join me in something like this. That is the agenda. Okay. ബ്രൂട്ടസിനെ പോലെ ഒരാൾ വേണം ഇതിന്. ബ്രൂട്ടസ് ആണ് ഇതിന് അർഹത ഉള്ള ഒരാൾ. That is the pitch, that is the sales pitch that Cassius makes to Brutus. And Cassius says, will you go see the order of the course? Brutus says, not I pray you do. And Brutus says, Cassius, he's very clever, he is manipulative. He tells Brutus, I pray you do. Why don't you go? Why don't you join the chase? And, he knows that Brutus is not going to go. But he wants to make sure of Brutus and take him aside. So it's like, there is a joke, na, like you have something very tasty, and you don't want to share it in your heart of hearts. You want to eat it all by yourself, and then but then you show it to a person and you pretend that you're sharing. Would you like some? Would you like some? And before they can say a proper yes and make up their mind, like or if they say an initial no, immediately, okay, fine, then I can have it all by that kind of thing. That's the kind of game that Cassius is playing, and he says, "I pray you do," and Brutus gives him the long lecture. I am not gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is in Antony. Let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires. I will leave you. Okay. And this way, Cassius has made secure of Brutus. Brutus makes it very clear, I'm not a Mark Antony. I'm not into these things. And this also, Shakespeare achieves two purposes here. One is he shows us what Cassius is and how Cassius has managed to get Brutus into the game. And the other is also to show the character of Brutus. Brutus was a very serious character, and he belonged to an ideological or philosophical group of Romans who were known as the Stoics. Okay, Stoics, Stoics. Okay, Stoics were people who looked at life very seriously. They believed that suffering is a very important part of life, and they also believed that suffering should be borne very calmly and bravely. Okay. Whatever suffering you have in life, whatever challenges, trials you have in life, you must face it very calm. Be very calm about it and accept it. And not try to escape from it, not try to make a special attempt to enjoy life or divert yourself from suffering. Okay. That kind of thing. And so Brutus says, I'm not like Antony. I'm not really into these things and so on. And uh, then he says, of course, Cassius, if you want, you go. I don't prevent you. And Cassius says, Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not from your eyes that gentleness and show of love as I was wont to have. Okay. WONT, want, means as I used to have. Okay. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you. Okay. You stubborn is not in the modern sense stubborn, but somewhere, not speaking enough. You just imagine that you have a close friend who chatters with you and talks to you, opens up a lot all the time, and then suddenly one day that person goes somewhat silent and starts behaving a little silently, becomes withdrawn. Okay. So that is the sense in which Shakespeare is using the word stubborn out here. And it's a strange, it's a strange hand. Like, I haven't seen you like this. ഇത് എൻ്റെ ബ്രൂട്ടസ് അല്ലല്ലോ ഇത്. That kind of thing. Okay. Yeah, so if you remember, Cassius had told Brutus, that these days you are not so friendly towards me, you are not loving as you used to be, like you are behaving a little strangely, not talking much. That warmth has gone out of your voice and your manner, that kind of thing. And Brutus says, Cassius, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Okay. In modern English paraphrase, that means that, if I look worried or troubled in any way, nobody else is at fault. It's entirely me. It's something going on inside me. No one else is at fault. I don't blame anyone. No one else needs to feel worried about it. Okay. And this is part of the Stoic philosophy also, that if you face troubles in life, don't blame people. Just, bravely face it yourself. So Brutus is demonstrating his belief in the Roman Stoic philosophy. Okay. Vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil, perhaps, to my behaviors. Okay. He says that lately I have been troubled with certain things inside my mind. And, conceptions only proper to myself means they relate only to myself. മറ്റുള്ളവരോട് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് കാര്യമല്ല, വെറുതെ അനാവശ്യമായിട്ട് എന്തിനാ മറ്റുള്ളവരെ വിഷമിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. I don't want to, make others worried and sad about that, because these are my personal matters, like uh, I don't want to get anybody else vexed, So this is how it has been. So, which gives some soil, perhaps, and maybe that is why my behavior has been changing a little. I haven't been as uh, openly, or openly is not such a good word, demonstratively friendly as I have been till now. Okay. But let not therefore my good friends be grieved, among which number Cassius be you one, nor construe any further my neglect than that poor Brutus with himself at war forgets the shows of love to other men. So he's telling Cassius, but because I am like this and my behavior has changed a little, my good friends should not worry. And Cassius, you are a good friend of mine. You shouldn't be worried. Nobody should worry. And, you feel that, okay, പാവം അയാളുടെ മനസ്സിൽ, അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ മനസ്സിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും വിഷമമുണ്ടാവും. അതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും നമ്മളോട് സ്വാഭാവികമായിട്ട് കാണിക്കുന്ന സ്നേഹം കാണിക്കാത്തത്. അങ്ങനെ വിചാരിച്ചാൽ മതി. ആ വിഷമം മാറിക്കിട്ടും, അത് മാറിക്കിട്ടുമായിരിക്കും, അങ്ങനെ വിചാരിച്ചാൽ മതി. ഡോണ്ട് ഫീൽ ദറ്റ് മൈ ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ് ടുവേർഡ്സ് യു ഹാസ് ചേഞ്ച്ഡ് ഇൻ എനി വേ. Then Cassius says, then Brutus, I have much mistook your passion, by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value, worthy cogitations. Tell me, good Brutus, can you see your face? So when Cassius hears this, he says, okay, I misunderstood you. It's not as if you don't love me anymore. But, I have wanted to share something with you, thoughts of great value, worthy cogitations. Cogitation is a slightly, old-fashioned English word for very serious thoughts. Okay. And then he puts a question to Brutus. He says, can you see your face? Okay. This is a very rhetorical question. Do you know what you are? Brutus endana. ബ്രൂട്ടസ് ആരാണ് എന്നുള്ളത് ബ്രൂട്ടസിന് അറിയാമോ? അത് തിരിച്ചറിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ഓക്കെ. ഇവിടെ ചെറുതായിട്ട്, വളരെ തന്ത്രപരമായിട്ട് ചെറുതായിട്ട് സോപ്പിടുകയാണ്. ഓക്കെ, പച്ച മലയാളത്ത് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഹീസ് വെരി സട്ട്ലി ഫ്ലാറ്ററിങ് ബ്രൂട്ടസ്. ആൻഡ് ഹീ സെസ്, ഹാവ് യു സീൻ യുവർ ഫേസ്? ഡു യു നോ വാട്ട് യു ആർ? ഇയാളൊരു സംഭവമാണ്. ഓക്കെ, അത് പറയുന്നില്ല, but that is the subtext, and that is very unmistakable, and especially in Shakespeare's English, for Shakespeare's listeners of those times, it would have been unmistakable, because Brutus is known for high principles and stoicism and all those things. He is a celebrity in Rome. He's known for these things. So, if somebody tells that kind of person, have you seen your face? Do you know what you are? There is an undercurrent or a subtext of flattery out there. Okay. And then Brutus says this very famous line, "No, Cassius, for the eye sees not itself but by reflection by some other things. Nobody can really assess what they themselves are." Okay. You may not agree with this statement. I don't agree with it, but then Brutus feels that way. He says that we cannot see what we are. Something or someone has to reflect what we are. Just like the eye cannot see, we cannot see ourselves, our physical self with our eye, unless we are reflected in a mirror. Okay, or in a photograph that somebody takes or something, and just like that, even our character, our personality, we recognize it only when other people tell us. Okay, then Cassius says it is just, and it is very much lamented, Brutus, that you have no such mirrors as will turn your hidden worthiness into your eye, that you might see your shadow. Okay, and Cassius grabs this opportunity. Okay, and he says, that is the problem. You are not able to see your worthiness. You are not able to realize your own greatness because there is nobody to tell you about it. No one has told you about it so far. And there are people who are sad about it because Cassius is trying to build up a kind of atmosphere, build up a hype in a certain way, saying that there are people in Rome, who really, really think that you are something, you're a great man, and they are not able to tell you, and you don't realize it yourself because the eye sees not itself but by reflection in other things, and Cassius is preparing the ground for him to, for Cassius himself to tell Brutus, okay, these things. I have heard where many of the best respect in Rome, and within brackets he says, except immortal Caesar. This is very significant. These little things in brackets in these speeches. Except immortal Caesar. റോമില് ഈ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ റോമിലെ ഒരുമാതിരിപ്പെട്ട എല്ലാവരും ബ്രൂട്ടസിനെ പറ്റി ഗംഭീരമായിട്ടുള്ള അഭിപ്രായം വെച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. സീസർ മാത്രം ആ കാറ്റഗറിയിൽ പെടുന്നില്ല. പക്ഷേ സീസർ അല്ലാതെ ഒരുമാതിരിപ്പെട്ട എല്ലാവരും ബ്രൂട്ടസിനെ ഒരു മഹാനായിട്ടാണ് കാണുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, that is the subtext. Speaking of Brutus, and groaning under this age's yoke, have wished that noble Brutus had his eyes. പക്ഷേ ബ്രൂട്ടസ് കണ്ണ് തുറക്കുന്നില്ല. People are groaning under this age. കാലം, സമയം ശരിയല്ല. Things are going wrong. പക്ഷേ ബ്രൂട്ടസ് ഇതൊന്നും കാണുന്നില്ലല്ലോ. ആരെങ്കിലും ബ്രൂട്ടസിന് ഇത് ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിക്കണ്ടേ? Okay, that's what Cassius is saying. Okay, yeah. So, Brutus is a person, വളരെ പരസ്യമായിട്ട് എല്ലാവരും ഒരു നോബിൾ ആളാണ്, സ്റ്റോയിക് ആണ്, അത് ഇതെന്ന് അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരാളാണ്, സൽപ്പേരുണ്ട്. കാഷ്യസ് ഇസ് എ പൊളിറ്റീഷ്യൻ. And in politics, you have to be a little crooked, you have to be a little manipulative. അത് അങ്ങനെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രായോഗികമല്ല. To some extent, the whole trick is that you know where to draw the line. Because you need to be idealistic, you need to serve people, at least in decent, good politics. I'm not talking about real politics that happens in many parts of the world, including our country and our state, but otherwise, you need to have some ideals and ideas of what is good for everybody driving you. But when you actually play politics, some amount of crookedness, some amount of adjustment and compromise, it comes into the picture. And Cassius is a practical politician. There are ideas, there are noble ideas, but he cannot follow them completely, like, because that won't work. അത് പൊളിഞ്ഞു കിട്ടും. Brutus is not like that. Brutus is clever, but then he is too blinded by his ideals. Okay, ഒരു പരിധി വരെ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ആൾക്കാരെ കളിയാക്കി പറയില്ലേ, പുണ്യവാളൻ എന്ന് പറയില്ലേ, ആ ഒരു പുണ്യവാളൻ സ്വഭാവം ബ്രൂട്ടസിനുണ്ട്. ഹീസ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ്, ഇൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ദേ കോൾ ഇറ്റ് സെൽഫ് റൈറ്റിയസ്. ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ ഇങ്ങനെയാണ്, എൻ്റെ നിലവാരം ഇതാണ്, ഇതാണ് ബ്രൂട്ടസ് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഇത്. ഹീ ഈസ് എ വെരി പ്രൗഡ് മാൻ. ഓക്കെ, morally arrogant man, you can say. They are friends, they know each other, and Cassius wants to use Brutus, okay, for the conspiracy, because Brutus has got that noble face, and if Brutus is there in the conspiracy, many more people will accept it and join it and so on. But you must realize that Brutus also, people like Brutus, they also need, they have their own desire for power, and they also need people like Cassius. Okay, it's like Gandhi. Gandhi in Hind Swaraj, if you read Hind Swaraj, he talks against industry, against railways and all that. But Gandhi used railways more than any other leader in the national movement to travel around the country and carry out his campaigns. And he depended on the money of industrialists more than any other leader. The Wardha Sevagram Ashram was sponsored by Bajaj. The house in Delhi, where, outside which he was shot, that was sponsored by the Birlas. There were other things. I think Sabarmati Ashram was sponsored by mill owners in Ahmedabad. Okay. So though he used to speak against industry, he was also using them very cleverly. And they also used Gandhi because Gandhi was a good figure whom they could put in front to whitewash many things which they did. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It's not as if Brutus is all perfect and noble and these people are bad, and it's only Cassius who is using Brutus and Brutus not using Cassius. Atra simple alla. Life is not so simple. Human beings are not so simple. Everybody has got their own ways of using other people. Okay, everybody. Even I do. No doubt about it. And so, that is the kind of, and Brutus is very clever, when Cassius says these things, Brutus immediately, he says, into what dangers would you lead me, Cassius? Into what dangers would you lead me, Cassius, that you would have me seek into myself for that which is not in me? അപ്പോൾ കാഷ്യസ് ഇങ്ങനെ പൊക്കി പറയുമ്പോൾ ബ്രൂട്ടസ് വളരെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട്, ഇത് കുറച്ച് പതപ്പിക്കലാണെന്ന് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി, വാട്ട് ആർ യു ട്രൈങ് ടു ഡു, എൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ ഇല്ലാത്തത് പലതും എടുത്ത് പറയുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ, എന്താണ് കാര്യം? ഓക്കെ, ദാറ്റ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് തിങ്. And Cassius says, therefore, good Brutus, be prepared to hear, and since you know you cannot see yourself so well as by reflection, I, your glass, will modestly discover to yourself that of yourself which you yet know not of. And be not jealous on me, gentle Brutus. Okay, then, Cassius says that I will nothing, I don't have any agenda. Enikku angane onnu illa. I just want to tell you what you are. I want to be your mirror. I want to be your glass, and I just want to tell you what you are. Vera onnu illa, enikku angane onnu illa. Please, trust me. Be not jealous on me ennu vecha, don't be suspicious of me. Enne samshayikkerudhu. And in some way, Cassius is trying to say, ഞാൻ അങ്ങനെ ചില കളികളൊക്കെ കളിക്കുമായിരിക്കും, പക്ഷെ ബ്രൂട്ടസിനോട് അതൊന്നുമില്ല. ലൈക്ക് not with you. You are too, I love you too much for that. And to some extent, when we come to the last scenes of the play, we see that this is true also. Cassius, in the end, he loses a lot by taking Brutus into the whole conspiracy. The whole thing gets ruined, and but he still loves Brutus and respects Brutus till the very end. So Evadayo, Cassius is also a man of quality in a certain way. He may be a crooked politician, he may manipulate, but then somewhere his friendship and his love for Brutus is real. Okay, and that is one reason why most Shakespeare fans and scholars and teachers will not agree with this, but if you ask me who is my favorite character in Julius Caesar, I will say it's Cassius. I will say it's Cassius. Because somewhere he's very real. I can relate to him. There is the realistic mix of selfishness and at the same time some amount of selfless love. ഇത് കലർന്നിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ലൈക്ക് ഡിസ്റ്റിൽഡ് ആയിട്ട് ഇത് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ അത് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, അല്ലാതെ മഹാത്മാ മാത്രമാണ് രാഷ്ട്രീയക്കാരൻ അല്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ രാഷ്ട്രീയക്കാരൻ മാത്രമാണ് മഹാത്മാ അല്ല എന്നുള്ള അങ്ങനെ ഒരു അൺറിയലിസ്റ്റിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളില്ല കാഷ്യസിൽ. That is why personally I like, and from my 10th standard, 9th standard, when I started studying this play, ICSE, I was able to relate to Cassius much more because he was not so deceptive. Somewhere, even in that crookedness, in the larger picture, there's a straightforwardness. And then Brutus says this very famous line, "No, Cassius, for the eye sees not itself but by reflection by some other things." Nobody can really assess what they themselves are. Okay. You may not agree with this statement. I don't agree with it, but then Brutus feels that way. He says that we cannot see what we are. Something or someone has to reflect what we are. Just like the eye cannot see, we cannot see ourselves, our physical self with our eye, unless we are reflected in a mirror. Okay. Or in a photograph that somebody takes or something. And just like that, even our character, our personality, we recognize it only when other people tell us. Okay. Then, Cassius says it is just. And it is very much lamented, Brutus, that you have no such mirrors as will turn your hidden worthiness into your eye, that you might see your shadow. Okay. And Cassius grabs this opportunity. Okay. And he says, that is the problem. You are not able to see your worthiness. You are not able to realize your own greatness because there is nobody to tell you about it. No one has told you about it so far, and there are people who are sad about it because, Cassius is trying to build up a kind of atmosphere, build up a hype in a certain way, saying that there are people in Rome, who really, really think that you are something, you're a great man, and they are not able to tell you, and you don't realize it yourself because the eye sees not itself but by reflection in other things. And Cassius is preparing the ground for him to, for Cassius himself to tell Brutus, okay, these things. I have heard where many of the best respect in Rome, and within brackets he says, except immortal Caesar. This is very significant, these little things in brackets in these speeches. Except immortal Caesar. റോമില് ഈ മലയാളത്ത് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ റോമിലെ ഒരുമാതിരിപ്പെട്ട എല്ലാവരും ബ്രൂട്ടസിനെ പറ്റി ഗംഭീരമായിട്ടുള്ള അഭിപ്രായം വെച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. സീസർ മാത്രം ആ കാറ്റഗറിയിൽ പെടുന്നില്ല. പക്ഷേ സീസർ അല്ലാതെ ഒരുമാതിരിപ്പെട്ട എല്ലാവരും ബ്രൂട്ടസിനെ ഒരു മഹാനായിട്ടാണ് കാണുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, that is the subtext. Speaking of Brutus, and groaning under this age's yoke, have wished that noble Brutus had his eyes. പക്ഷേ ബ്രൂട്ടസ് കണ്ണ് തുറക്കുന്നില്ല. People are groaning under this age. കാലം, സമയം ശരിയല്ല. Things are going wrong. പക്ഷേ ബ്രൂട്ടസ് ഇതൊന്നും കാണുന്നില്ലല്ലോ. ആരെങ്കിലും ബ്രൂട്ടസിന് ഇത് ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിക്കണ്ടേ? Okay, that's what Cassius is saying. Yeah, okay. Then, Cassius says, then this is a famous speech, okay? He says, were I a common laughter, or did use to stale with ordinary oaths my love to every new protester, if you know that I do fawn on men and hug them hard and after scandal them, or if you know that I profess myself in banqueting to all the rout, then hold me dangerous. So Cassius is trying to tell Brutus, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a person who leads people into dangers or flatters them. I'm not a joker. I'm not a common laughter. I'm not a joker. ഞാനൊരു തമാശക്കാരനല്ല. Okay. And I don't, go around telling everybody that I love them, I respect them. അങ്ങനെ നാട് മുഴുവൻ ഇത് സ്നേഹിക്കുന്നു ബഹുമാനിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് ആ കൂട്ടത്തിലല്ല. ഐ ഡോണ്ട് ഡു ദാറ്റ്. Okay. And nor do I backbite people. I don't fawn on people. That is, I don't flatter them. I don't show my love. And then, I scandal them, speak ill about them. That is, ഒരാളുടെ മുമ്പ് വലിയ സ്നേഹം പ്രകടിപ്പിച്ച് അയാൾ പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞുടൻ അയാളെ പറ്റി പറയാത്തതൊന്നുമില്ല. That kind of thing I don't do. I don't backbite. I don't do scandal mongering, flatter people on their face and then stab them in the back. I'm not that kind of person. If I were, and nor am I a party animal kind of thing, like എല്ലാരെയും സൽക്കരിക്കുന്നത്, നാട്ടുകാരെ എല്ലാം വിളിച്ച് സൽക്കരിക്കുന്ന കൂട്ടത്തും അല്ല. I don't do that. Okay. I don't entertain everybody just like that. I am very selective about whom I love, to whom I express my love and respect, whom I compliment, whom I become friends with, whom I invite home. All these things I am very selective. Please understand that, and that's what Cassius is telling Brutus. Okay. And then suddenly there is a shouting. Okay. And what means this shouting? I do fear the people choose Caesar for their king. Okay. Then suddenly there is a shouting from the crowd. They are on the street in Rome. They have moved away from the crowd a little bit, but the crowd is still very much there in the background, remember. And Brutus suddenly hears a lot of shouting, and he's not very comfortable, that a Caesar is being made into an icon and worshipped and being made a king and all. And like all the other patricians, he wasn't happy about one person among the patricians getting supreme power over all the others. The patricians, though they believed in keeping the plebeians down and keeping the slaves down, in their close circle, most of them wanted democracy. They wanted perfect equality. And so Brutus is not very happy about what is happening, and he says, I fear that they are making Caesar the king. He doesn't want Caesar to be king. And Cassius says, do you fear it? Then I must think you would not have it so. Okay. Immediately, Cassius seizes upon this feeling. And he says, if you are afraid of Caesar becoming king, that means, you wouldn't like it to happen. And again, the subtext, the suggested text out here, that is something that is not written but which you have to read between the lines, is that, if there is something that can be done to prevent Caesar from becoming king, you would be ready to cooperate with that effort. You would support and cooperate with an effort like that. Okay. That is what Cassius is saying here. So the second incident is when, then there was a Spanish campaign when these Romans were conquering Spain, and Caesar had a fever. And he, when he had a fever, this strong man, this highly successful military general, he was shaking with delirium, high temperature. And like a sick girl, he said, give me some drink, Titinius. Okay. And that is another thing that Cassius mentions, and and he says that this is the kind of man, at the end of the speech he says, oh ye gods, it doth amaze me, a man of such a feeble temper. ഇത്രയും ശാരീരികമായിട്ട് പോലും ഇത്രയും ബലഹീനനായ ഒരു വ്യക്തിയാണ്. A man of such a feeble temper should so get the start of a majestic world and bear the palm alone. And this man is going to rule the world. He's going to be world number one, because the Romans believed that their empire was the world, and it was Europe. And Europeans, avare andharalle. These bloody whites, they think that there's no world outside their world. എന്നും അങ്ങനെയാണ്, 19ാം നൂറ്റാണ്ടിലും അങ്ങനെ. ഈവൻ ടുഡേ ദേ ആർ ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ്. Though today there's no excuse for being like that, but they are still like that. The attitude hasn't really changed very much. And ഈ റോമൻസിന്റെ കാലത്തൊന്നും പറയണ്ട. They were ruling Europe, most of Europe, including Britain for that matter. So that was the world, and he says that this man is going to get the start of the majestic world and bear the palm alone. He's going to rule the world, and he can't even stand a fever. When he gets a fever and he gets delirious, he's like a sick girl. And a girl is the most contemptible thing in the world as far as the hyper masculine Roman world is concerned. A woman, a girl, these are contemptible creatures. Okay. Not my world, okay, not Parashuraman's world, but the hyper masculine Roman world. And and he can't swim across a bloody river properly. He needs to be rescued, and he's going to rule over all of us. What a shame. So then again there is a shout. Okay, and Brutus says, another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar. Okay. Then again, this is one of the signature features of Julius Caesar. Okay. And maybe that's one reason why they put it in the BA syllabus also. It is a play of great speeches. Okay, very great speeches. And this is another important speech by Cassius. Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Then very famous lines. Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars but in ourselves that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar. What should be there in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. Sound them, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, 'tis as heavy. Conjure with them, Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he has grown so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods, when went there by an age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than with one man. When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walls encompassed but one man? Now it is Rome indeed, with room enough when there is in it but only one man. Okay, this is a very famous speech. Basically he's saying that people are making a god out of Caesar, but he's no greater than anybody else. And he says the fault, it's not Caesar's fault that he has become so powerful, or if he becomes arrogant or dictatorial. It's the fault of Romans. We have forgotten. We are forgetting our democratic traditions. We are forgetting the fact that there are other great people here, and he's not the only great man. We are forgetting the fact that people like Brutus out here might be even greater than him. And he delivers this entire message in this highly rhetorical style. The style is very beautiful because it's a speech. So there has to be rhetoric. You have to try and convince people, and you have to make an emotional pitch. Okay, that is very important in speeches, in rhetoric. Rhetoric is the art of convincing somebody of something. Okay, the art of persuading or convincing somebody to think in a certain way, or feel in a certain way, or act in a certain way, or one or more of those things together. And this speech is an example of Cassius's rhetoric. And he says that you weigh Caesar. Why is he Caesar? Arana even arade. Okay, who is he? No, you're not one atom's weight more than Brutus. People are behaving like slaves, and And this has never happened in Rome, with the Roman people. And by people, of course, again, ഈ യൂറോപ്യൻസിന് യൂറോപ്പിന്റെ പുറത്ത് ലോകം ഇല്ലാത്തതുപോലെ ഈ പാട്രിഷ്യൻസിന് അവരാണ് പീപ്പിൾ. പ്ലെബിയൻസ് ഒക്കെ മനുഷ്യരെ അല്ല. സ്ലേവ്സ് ആണെങ്കിൽ മൃഗങ്ങളെക്കാളും ഹീനരായ ജീവികളായിരുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, അത് സത്യമാണ്. ഓക്കെ, and that is why so he says that uh, there was never a time in Rome when one man commanded so much. And then there's a beautiful pun, in Elizabethan English, Rome was pronounced as room. So he says, now it is room indeed with room enough. You have to read that Rome as room. Now it is room indeed with room enough when there is in it but only one man. Okay. സീസർ മാത്രമാണ് ആണായിട്ടുള്ളത്, ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും നപുംസകമാണ്. സ്ത്രീകളെ ഒരിക്കലും കണക്കാക്കിയില്ലല്ലോ. സ്ത്രീകളും കുട്ടികളും മനുഷ്യരല്ല, അതേ വരെ ചാറ്റൽസ്, വസ്തുക്കളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ആണ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, ബാക്കിയെല്ലാം വെറും പോക്ക്. ഓക്കെ, നത്തിങ്. ജസ്റ്റ് വൺ മാൻ ഇൻ റോം. all the others were like important creatures. Okay, അങ്ങനെയാണ്. So when there is but only one man, and then he says, oh, you and I have heard our fathers say, there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as a king. Okay, there was an ancestor of this present Brutus, Marcus Brutus, who was also a great man. And Cassius is trying to provoke this Brutus, saying that, look, your own ancestor would not have tolerated a situation like this, where where one man is becoming all powerful and everybody else has to bow down to him. ഒരു കാലത്ത് റോമിൽ അങ്ങനെയും ഒരു ബ്രൂട്ടസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇന്ന് എല്ലാം പോയി. ഇനി എപ്പോ ഇത് എന്ത് വരും, ഇനി ഒരിക്കലും വരില്ലായിരിക്കും എന്നുള്ള ഒരു നിരാശ. ഓക്കെ, but he is doing it rhetorically because he knows that if he ഇങ്ങനെ ഒന്ന് വിളമ്പി കൊടുത്താൽ, ഇങ്ങനെ if he baits or if he provokes, ഒരു പ്രകോപനം പോലാണ്, if he provokes Brutus like this, then Brutus will join the conspiracy and something may happen. Okay, so that is the agenda, that is the purpose of the speech. And of course Cassius is very good. He succeeds in this. I'm sorry, not success, he succeeds in this nicely.